There is nothing worse than sinking a number of hours of your time into a game and then realising you've missed a trophy that will require you to start right from the start again. I'm talking about missing a collectible when there is no chapter select, not defeating a monster when you need to fill in the bestiary, or taking the wrong path when you need a specific plot point in the story to happen, with no way of seeing the alternative. So in this video, I've compiled 10 games out of the hundreds out there where you'll not have to worry about such things. These games are all amazing in their own ways and have no missable trophies. South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Yes, that's the real title. And no, we're not above laughing at it. You play as the new kid, once again dragged into a town-wide LARP session, but this time it's superheroes. Think Avengers, but with way more fart jokes and emotional damage. The combat's been upgraded from Stick of Truth. Now it's a tactical, grid-based system that feels more like XCOM, if XCOM let you weaponise burritos. You'll battle meth heads, strippers, demonic cats, and potentially your own dad. The writing is classic South Park. Sharp, offensive, hilarious, and somehow more accurate about the state of the world than the actual news. And yes, you can customise your powers and your flatulence. The pros: genuinely funny from start to finish. Smart, strategic combat, and more toilet humour than a middle school locker room. The cons: it must be played on mastermind difficulty. If you're easily offended, maybe go play Animal Crossing. And some missions drag, like Cartman's ego. For the platinum, you'll be dealing with a difficulty of 3 out of 10. Lengthwise, should take you roughly 20 hours, but you'll be wishing there was so much more to give.
Randy, get in here right now and stop keying my car.
Okay.
Next up, we've got FairyTale. Yes, the game where friendship literally fuels fire-breathing dragon punches. Developed by Gust and dropped on PS4, this game is basically fan service in HD. You step into the shoes of Natsu, Lucy, and the rest of the Chaos crew, reliving iconic anime arcs while slapping enemies into the next dimension with explosive magic combos. As for the combat, turn-based with a twist. Think Final Fantasy, but everyone's yelling their special attacks like it's a wrestling match at a cosplay convention. It's flashy, it's fun, and yes, Happy is still a flying blue cat who judges your every move. Now, let's be real, the world feels a bit empty at times, like Magnolia needs a serious population boost, and the side quests, let's just say they're more errand boy than epic adventure. The pros to FairyTale: it's faithful to the anime. Stylish combat, and the guild upgrades are weirdly addictive. The cons, however: it's not so super friendly to newcomers, and the NPCs apparently forgot how to exist. On PSNP, the guide currently has the difficulty set as a 2 out of 10, requiring just a single playthrough and taking roughly 40 hours, and if you really enjoy the game, then FairyTale 2 is another relatively easy platinum, much shorter, but no guides currently exist. So, if Urza scares you a little, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more lists and platinum content. Control, aka what if X-Files and Inception had a superpowered baby and raised it in a haunted office building. You play as Jesse Faden, who casually strolls into a top-secret government building called the Federal Bureau of Control, and somehow becomes the boss. First day on the job, and the place is already crawling with floating corpses and interdimensional nightmares. HR is definitely not handling this. Gameplay is like, here's a gun that transforms, telekinesis that lets you yeet desks at enemies, and floating powers because walking is for chumps. The combat is slick, and yes, ripping concrete chunks from the floor never gets old. The building itself, the oldest house, is basically a Rubik's Cube designed by a Lovecraft fan. Every room is a mystery, every hallway makes you question reality, and the janitor might be God, or Finnish, or both. The pros for Control: it's got an amazing atmosphere and style, super satisfying powers, and the weirdest, coolest lore this side of Area 51. Personally, Control is one of my all-time favourite games, and I can't think of any cons, but I'm sure others could argue that. PSNP has Control's difficulty set as a 4 out of 10, but as I always say, if I can earn the platinum, then anybody can. It only requires a single playthrough and should take you roughly 20 hours. Maneater, the only game where you start as a baby shark and evolve into a revenge-fueled murder machine with laser teeth. You play as a shark, that's it. No deep story, just jumping, tail whipping jet skiers and ruining beach days one bite at a time. And yes, you can literally jump out of the water and snatch people off piers. It's chaos, it's dumb, it's beautiful. The game's basically GTA meets Jaws, narrated by Chris Parnell, the same guy from Rick and Morty, who roasts you and humanity the entire time like you're on Shark Tank, but with more actual sharks. You level up by eating everything: fish, humans, boats, and eventually evolve into a bone-armoured apex predator with electricity powers. Because science. The pros to Maneater: you're a shark, that's the pitch. Surprisingly fun combat and upgrades, and hilarious narration with over-the-top action. The cons, however: the game does get a little bit repetitive. And well, I guess the story. You're a shark, just go and bite stuff. PSNP has Maneater down as a 2 out of 10 difficulty, with just the one playthrough, taking roughly 12 hours to get that beautiful platinum in those laser sharp teeth.
You maybe want to turn off the camera.
Final Fantasy 15, the one where the fate of the world rests in the hands of 4 dudes on a royal road trip. You play as Noctis, Crown Prince of Insomnia, who sets out with his 3 best bros in a fancy car to get married.
Surprise, motherfucker!
The world goes full apocalypse while you're trying to buy cup noodles. The game mixes real-time combat, open world exploration, and a lot of emotional staring into the sunset. It's stylish, dramatic, and occasionally feels like a boy band got dropped into an anime version of Top Gear. Combat is flashy and fun, though sometimes you'll be mashing buttons while yelling what is even happening right now. Bonus points for summoning literal gods during boss fights, like it's your weekend hobby. The pros for Final Fantasy 15? It's got a gorgeous world and epic music. Bromance stronger than most RPG storylines. And you can fish, and cook, and camp like a magical glamping trip. As for the cons, the story gets a bit vague, like Google it later vague. The combat camera can be drunk at times, and if you like to keep things at 100%, then Final Fantasy 15 is not for you, due to the multiplayer DLC. The platinum, however, is still obtainable. Difficulty wise, we're talking 3 out of 10, and it should take, on average, about 80 hours. Dead Island 2, the long-awaited sequel that finally crawled out of development hell and into bloody, sun-soaked Los Angeles. Yes, it's not an island, yes, there are still a ton of zombies, and yes, it's glorious. You play as one of several immune survivors with sass, muscles, and apparently zero fear of getting blood on their shoes. The goal? Survive LA's apocalypse, which somehow looks better than actual LA traffic. Combat is where this game shines, literally. You'll be drop-kicking, slicing, electrocuting and melting zombies with weapons that would make MacGyver cry. It's gory, it's goofy, and the flesh system, yes that's real, makes every hit feel like a slow-mo meat piñata. The pros in Dead Island 2? Brutal, hilarious combat, gorgeous, gory environments, and it's surprisingly funny writing and solid voice acting. The cons, however, the story is a bit thin, like a zombie's attention span. Some repetitive missions, but hey, it's the apocalypse. And it's not as good as the previous Dead Island games. PSNP has Dead Island 2's difficulty set as a 3 out of 10. Of course, requiring just the one playthrough and taking roughly 30 hours. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, a PS2 classic that's still got more charm than your average modern AAA release. You play as Jak, the silent protagonist with spiky hair, and his loudmouth sidekick Daxter, who fell into dark eco and got turned into a wisecracking weasel otter thing. Totally normal. It's classic 3D platforming at its best. Collect power cells, punch eco monsters and platform your way across lush jungles, fiery volcanoes and some of the most colourful levels this side of Saturday morning cartoons. The game is smooth, surprisingly polished even decades later, and features little to no loading screens, which in PS2 years was like discovering time travel. The pros to Jak and Daxter? Tight platforming and fun level design, Daxter's one-liners still slap, and the bright, vibrant world that's aged shockingly well. As for the cons, the camera can be a little tipsy. The story's pretty light, it's mostly go collect stuff, but hey, that's the vibe. And the Vita version does have 2 missable trophies, so keep that in mind. Jak and Daxter is down on PSNP as a 3 out of 10 difficulty, and should take you around 10 hours to get that sweet platinum. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, the game where Luffy and the crew solve everything with friendship and massive property damage. If you've ever wanted to punch 500 marines into the sky with a single Gum Gum Gatling, congratulations, this game was made for you. It's One Piece meets Dynasty Warriors, which basically means mash buttons, watch explosions and repeat. You've got over 40 characters, from Straw Hats to villains to Big Mama herself, and every single one feels ridiculously overpowered, just the way we like it. Luffy turns into a giant, Zoro slices everything in half, and Usopp, well, bless him, he tries. The story covers major arcs like Whole Cake Island and Wano, and throws in some creative liberties, because why let canon get in the way of chaos? The pros for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4? It's satisfying over-the-top combat, huge roster of playable characters, and you get to destroy entire armies while yelling, "Gum Gum Bazooka!" As for the cons, it can get a bit repetitive if button mashing isn't your thing, and some story pacing jumps faster than Brooks' punchlines. PSNP has One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 down as a 2 out of 10 difficulty, and will take you roughly 20 hours, which will fly by with each passing battle. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, the game that answers the question, what if GTA had more martial arts and dim sum? You play as Wei Shen, undercover cop, action hero and part-time street racer, as he punches, kicks and occasionally sings karaoke his way through the criminal underworld of Hong Kong. The combat, absolute chef's kiss. Think Batman Arkham meets Jackie Chan. You can counter enemies, slam them into walls or straight up dunk their faces into air conditioner units. It's violent, stylish, and weirdly therapeutic. And when you're not beating up the triads, you're crushing the neon lit streets, eating pork buns, doing cop missions, or just vibing in your totally not suspicious street clothes. Sleeping Dogs pros: fantastic hand-to-hand combat, great story with undercover drama and action movie flair, and Hong Kong looks gorgeous, especially at night. As for the cons, driving's a bit floaty, cops don't appreciate your drifting skills, rude, and playing it on a PS4 can have weird issues. PSNP has Sleeping Dogs down as a 3 out of 10, and an average of 30 hours before the beautiful platinum is yours to own. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is what happens when Pixar makes a video game, gives it a portal gun, and says, go nuts. You play as Ratchet, a heroic Lombax with a wrench bigger than his self-esteem, and Clank, a charming robot sidekick who probably deserves his own TED Talk. This time, you're hopping through dimensions faster than your internet connection during a PSN outage. The combat? Satisfying. The weapons are so ridiculous they make you question why real guns are so boring. One turns enemies into garden gnomes, another literally launches a disco ball and forces everyone to dance. Yes, including the boss. It's smooth, polished, and one of the best showcases of what the PS5 can actually do. Near instant loading, eye-melting visuals, and haptic feedback so immersive it almost filed your taxes for you. The pros for Ratchet and Clank: jaw-dropping visuals and instant loading, pure PS5 flex, creative weapons that make every fight feel like a cartoon fever dream, and Rivet is awesome and maybe slightly cooler than Ratchet, just saying. As for the cons, a little short if you're not trophy hunting, and some side content feels like it was invented just to show off the loading screens, which it does incredibly well. PSNP has the difficulty set as a 2 out of 10, requiring just a single playthrough, and should take you between 10 to 15 hours. And that's it for the list. I hope you found what you were looking for here, and if so, don't forget to leave a like, as they help small channels like mine massively. Subscribe if you wish to see more content similar in the future, and hopefully I'll see you next time.